Hi and welcome to Craggle. We develop tools for the visual effects industry. This is a documentation video on SmartLock, our automatic time tracking tool for Nuke. It includes an adjustable idle detection and automatically logs the time you spend on all your working files, so that you can compare time being spent across multiple working file versions, shots, sequences, and whole projects. SmartLock contains a lot more functionality that we'll see in just a minute. But first, let's install SmartLock and then let's explore all of its features. Like any other Craggle product, SmartLock can be installed with Craggle Connect directly inside Nuke. For more information about Connect, please visit the link below. So open Connect and drag SmartLock to the right to reveal more information. Just click on Buy and you'll be located to the webpage where you can purchase SmartLock. After purchasing, you'll receive a mail including an install code. Now simply click on Install, enter your received install code, or simply use your Craggle account credentials, and SmartLock will be installed automatically on your machine. After the installation is finished, SmartLock can be accessed via Nuke's menu bar. Just click on Craggle, and in here you'll now find a new submenu, SmartLock. Let's now have a look how SmartLock works. SmartLock can be used out of the box without any further setup needed, although there are several things offered to customize, as we'll explore later. Whenever you save or load a working file, time will now be tracked in the background. Let's open any working file and keep working in it. At any time, you can launch SmartLock and see the time logs. Navigate to Craggle, SmartLock, SmartLock to launch SmartLock, or simply hit Alt-L. This is how SmartLock's main window looks like. SmartLock contains 3 viewing modes, which you can toggle with this button. First, we have the History Viewing mode, then the Time Ranking Viewing mode, and the Pie Viewing mode. We'll explore these viewing modes in a minute. Let's stay in the History Viewing mode for the time being. In all 3 viewing modes, we have 3 options to just display time logs that were created within a certain time frame. At the moment, we're in the latest count mode. Here we can use the drop-down menu to view the time logs that were created today, within the last 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, 1 month, and so on. Let's click the Time Mode button at the top right to toggle to the next time mode. This mode lets us choose a time range. On the left we can set the oldest date that we want to see time logs for. On the right we can set the latest date that we want to see time logs for. Let's click the Time Mode toggle one more time. We'll now have a one range slider which we can use to view time logs for one specific day. By default, we're in History mode. That means we can see a chronological list of time logs being sorted by creation time in descending order. Click this button to toggle between sorting in descending and ascending order. Each time we load or save a working file, the time tracker gets active and logs time for the currently open working file in the background. This is how a time log gets displayed in the History mode. Each time log contains the following details: the working file name, the time that the user spent on in hours, minutes, and seconds, the user that worked on the working file, text that the time log can be associated with for filtering, any comments about the time log and the working file, and the date and time the time log was created. We'll shortly come back to the History Viewing mode as it contains some more useful functionality, but for now let's explore the other viewing modes first. Clicking the Viewing button at the top left switches to the Time Ranking Viewing mode. This mode gives us an overview of the amount of time being spent compared to other working files. By default, time logs of the same working file of different versions are merged. So this gives us an overview of the total time spent on a task without to take any version number into account. However, we can explicitly show the logs unmerged, so that we can see the time being spent on every working file version. For that, click the Merge toggle at the top. The time logs are now unmerged, so that we can see how much time we spent on every version. Let's switch to the third viewing mode, which is the Pie Viewing mode. Click the Viewing mode button at the top left one more time. This viewing mode shows a pie diagram that displays the time being spent compared to other working files. This mode contains a merged and unmerged mode too, so that we can see the overall time that was spent on shots and time that was spent on individual versions. By hovering over one of the rows of the table on the left, the associated pie section gets enlarged on the right-hand side for easier viewing. Keep in mind that the offered time range modes are available in all three viewing modes, so that we can easily adjust which time logs we want to see in which mode. On top of that, we can use a filter. Click the filter toggle at the right. Let's, for example, show only logs for our project TAH. We'll have an additional look at filtering in a moment. Let's come back to the history viewing mode and explore some more functionality. Time logs in this viewing mode contain a right-click menu. Select a log, right-click, and you will find additional commands to execute. For example, you can edit a log. Now, by default, SmartLock will automatically log the time you spent on a working file, but you can freely set the time spent on a specific value, or add an additional time on top of it. You can edit the user, tags, and comments of a time log. SmartLock offers a day rate calculator. After a long day of work, let's see how much we earned. Select the time logs to calculate the day rates for. Right-click and choose Calculate Rate. The upcoming day rate calculator gets populated with the selected time logs. At the top left, we can enter the amount to earn per hour. Each row represents a selected time log. The first column shows the time we spent on the working file. The next column shows the working file name, and the third column shows the earning for this working file considering the currently set value at the top left. At the bottom left, we see the total amount of time spent on all selected time logs. And at the bottom right, you see the total amount you earned for the selected time logs. Let's now have a look how to get data out of SmartLock and back into it. After our project has finished, we're ready to archive the time logs for our show. Let's filter all time logs for our show HJT. Click the filter button at the top right. This reveals the filter section to filter logs that match certain criteria. Let's set the filter to Path, Contains, HJT. And this will now display only the time logs of this show. You can also filter by other criteria, but matching a keyword in the path of our working file fits our needs and is all we need. As all shots of that show are located in a project-specific folder on our server, we could have just simply entered the project's root directory. But entering just HJT works fine in this example. At the bottom right, we see that this file results in having 3 time logs and an overall time spent of 5 hours and 5 minutes. Select all 3 logs, right-click and choose Export Selected Logs. SmartLock offers several export formats. To Folder, which exports the time logs as JSON file format to a folder. To CSV, which exports the time logs to CSV. And to PDF, which exports the time logs to PDF. Choose to CSV. In the upcoming path browser, choose a path to save the CSV file to. The selected time logs get exported to this set location. Let's also export the time logs as PDF so that we can send this information to our producer. Select to PDF and choose a location. The PDF gets created in the defined location. We can now remove the time logs from SmartLock. Right-click the selected time logs and choose Delete from the context menu. Confirm the deletion and the time logs get removed. In case we ever want to bring the time logs back, we can do so by importing them back into SmartLock. For that, right-click and choose Import. From here we have the option to import from a folder. This will import all timelog.json files from one specific path that we've browsed to. As we have exported our time logs to CSV, let's click the From CSV command. Browse to our exported CSV file and click Open. The time logs get imported back into SmartLock. SmartLock offers a timer that we can set to any custom interval. After it has timed out, it will automatically show a notification and play a sound. Let's concentrate working on our comp for 60 minutes without getting interrupted by setting a timer. To launch the timer, navigate to Craggle, SmartLock, Timer, or use the hotkey Alt-T. The timer launches. To set the timer to 60 minutes, click the 60min button. By the way, you can shift-click a button to add additional time to it. Let's do a simple click without shift being held to get back to 60 minutes. If you're ready, click the play button. The timer will now count backwards from 60 minutes. You can hide the window by clicking the hide button or X button or simply clicking escape. The timer will keep running in the background even after the window has been hidden. You can always bring it back and add additional time to it or simply stop it if needed. Once the timer has timed out after 1 hour, a sound will be played. This sound is adjustable and can be configured in SmartLock's settings widget. You can even set your own custom sounds by simply dropping a WAV file into the SmartLock sound folder. Additionally, a notification will show up at the bottom right. Clicking this button will reopen the timer. SmartLock offers the functionality to dynamically inject custom code that can be executed via right-click commands for selected logs inside SmartLock. After registering your custom commands, they appear in the custom right-click menu in the history mode. This feature lets you do a variety of custom things. For example, you can send selected logs to your database, your file system, via email, or communicate with any other third-party application. For more information about how to get started with custom commands and how to create your own custom commands, simply click the Get Started with Custom Commands entry from the right-click menu. This launches our in-depth written documentation, which explains in great detail how this feature works and how you can create your own custom commands. Let's finally have a quick look at SmartLock's settings. For that, open SmartLock and click the Settings button at the bottom left. There are several things to customize here. When this checkbox is checked, then we'll show tooltips for all major widgets. Here you can update the amount of seconds after which a timelog's time gets updated. Here you can adjust the seconds after which a timelogger gets idle if the mouse cursor has not moved in your current Nuke session. Here you can adjust the user that a timelog gets added to by default. Now, users can be edited for each timelog if needed at any time. This is just the default user to assign when a new timelog gets created. Here you can adjust which sound to play when the timer window times out. As a small tip, you can put your custom WAV files into SmartLock's sound folder to play your own custom notification sounds. They will then be choosable from this drop-down menu. By default, SmartLocks write all the timelogs into a local user directory. Here you can change the location. You can, for example, set this root to a location that is accessible for multiple workstations like a cloud folder or a server, and can make multiple machines log into the same root directory. This makes getting information about who worked on which shots, when and for how long more transparent. Now, in some cases we might not want to timelog all working files. For example, temp nuke files without any version, where time logging does not make too much sense. For that, we can create multiple ignore patterns in the form of regular expressions to exclude certain working files from time logging. For more information about ignoring patterns, please refer to our written documentation. Click this button to apply the settings. Note that some settings require a restart of SmartLock or Nuke. Please refer to the settings tooltips of each setting for more information. So this was a documentation video on SmartLock, our automatic time tracking tool for Nuke that contains lots of features to get an easy and adjustable view of time being spent on your working files.